Hi, I'm Nadia and I'm the Yogi.
And I'm Michelle and I'm the Blonde.
And this is the Yogi and the Blonde podcast.
In this podcast, we offer guidance,
Motivation,
education,
and inspiration
to help you adopt healthy habits you can sustain for life.
If you enjoy the podcast and would like further information,
head over to our Instagram or YouTube pages.
You can find the links in the bio. Hello, everyone, and welcome today's podcast to the Yogi and the Blonde. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day. It's a bit wet in Auckland again. But that's again, making the best of it. You know, make sure you got your umbrellas and your rain jackets and whatnot on. So
I've been very lucky with the rain. This morning when I got to the gym, the rain stopped as I was walking from my car to the gym, and then it went wild. And then as I was walking back to my car, as I was leaving the gym, it stopped again. So I have been very lucky with the rain today.
Nice.
Well,
this morning it was pouring down. It was like pouring down this morning, and I was like, and Ellie went in my head, and I'm like, oh, extra socks, extra shoe, bring a pair of spare shoes, you know, so I'm not like in wet socks and shoes for the day or during my workout. And then so I prepared all that. I get there, it's not raining. Great. And then and I was lucky, just as I was like getting into my car, it started raining heavy on my way back. So I've been in the same boat as you today. So maybe
as well.
I think it's the rain god supporting us today.
Looking after us. Looking after my hair. Looking after your shoes. Thank you, rain gods.
Thank you. Okay. Enough shenanigans for the beginning here, a little banter. Now, today we are going to talk about protein. Well, I'm not going to talk about protein. It's going to be shift over to a lovely Michelle next to me here. And she's going to be educating us on protein, on what is IS protein, why is protein important, different types of protein when you are looking at your meat base and your plant base, muscle protein synthesis. Am I saying that? Synthesis? Synthesis. Oh my God, that's
like when you synthesize something.
Synthesis.
Sounds like a toothpaste brand, dear.
It does. Also, why it's important over females like myself over 40, why it's important to make sure we've got a good amount of protein, and importance in aging in general, not just for females, but in general. Now, Michelle, let's start off. What is IS protein? Is that isolated protein?
What is protein?
Oh, is that what is protein?
Why are you spelling out is?
Because of the fact that you've got in capital letters. So I thought
is protein.
Is
like an emphasis. I love that. What is?
IS protein.
What's the F protein?
But what is isolated protein? Isn't there isolated protein like protein powder?
You can get protein isolate, yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, since this is what I thought it was, so, what is that? Can you share that with us?
Protein isolate is a hydrolyzed version of a protein supplement.
Okay.
So, for example, whey protein. You get it in powders, so it's essentially powdered up milk, really. Is how you make protein powder. So an isolated whey protein isolate is where they've hydrolyzed, so they've put something on it. Something hydro on it, and it makes it a bit easier to digest.
Okay, so you don't get as
but it's easier to digest if you get gastric issues when you have just non-isolate protein.
Okay. Now, what is protein, or is that part of it, Michelle? Like, there's different types. I know that, but educate us, please.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we talk about protein all the time. We know that protein is a macronutrient found in food because we have covered that in one of our previous podcasts.
Yeah.
But protein is actually is basically amino acids. So amino acids are found within our bodies. We consume them. But amino acids are basically the building blocks of our bodies. So new cells are formed from amino acids. Muscle cells are formed from amino acids, which is why we often associate protein with muscle
Because
growth.
yeah, because with the muscles teared when you're doing like resistance or strength training, and then the amino acids from the protein help build and repair that. So
Yeah.
build upon the ones that are there, the protein that's in your muscle, but then builds upon that. Is that, am I getting that right? Because
Yeah,
I've
yes. So
done some
it's so
research.
you
So
get
yeah,
bigger. Exactly.
yeah,
But protein is used for everything in our bodies as well. Our cells are constantly turning over, so they're constantly dying off and reforming or
yeah.
coming back to life. And protein is involved in all of that as well.
So
Protein is even used for making hormones within our bodies. We wouldn't be able to produce hormones without protein.
So when you're talking about the repairs, because I know like our organs regenerate every, I think each one is slightly different in length time, but I think liver is like 21 days or something like that. So does that mean by regenerating, then the protein helps with that process? Is that what you mean by that?
Indeed. You can die if you don't have enough protein because your body just won't be able to function properly.
Yeah.
So
I-
it's very, very important for health. But I think it's just interesting to know that it isn't just, oh, I want to get muscles, I'm gonna have my protein. It's actually super important for every cell in our body, our skin, our hair, our nails, our organs, like I said, our hormones that our bodies produce, you know, everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Protein
yeah,
is used for everything. These amino acids are used for everything. So
yeah.
it is super important for health, first and foremost. If we don't have enough protein in our diet, we will not run efficiently and optimally as human beings.
That's it's fascinating because there's like so much on social media of contradicting of you can't you there's too much protein, not enough protein. But then I guess wouldn't it also depend on the each individual person on how the makeup of their body is and how their body what their body needs. Wouldn't it be, Michelle?
100%. As with
Yeah.
most things, nutrition, it is totally dependent on you as an individual. So bigger people will need more protein because they have bigger bodies. Taller people, that's not just about your body size. Taller people, shorter people, um, will need different amounts of protein. Athletes versus people that don't do anything will
Hmm.
need different amounts of protein.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's completely dependent on the individual, what you do, what how your body works, what you look like, your height, etc. Your age is important. We'll come to age later.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, very dependent um on an individual. There are kind of rough estimates about how much you want to be aiming to eat based
Yeah.
on what your activity is. So, for example, if you are somebody that goes to the gym and you are looking at either building muscle or looking to lose some weight, you want to be looking at maybe eating between 1.6 grams and 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight per day.
That's
So
good
you
that
can
it's good that you
work it
mentioned
out.
that because that's something I was going to ask you. How do you work out how much protein you should have? Because I hear such controversial amounts between of how much, and some people are like, oh, that's way too much. And I'm noticing from my own experience, as my body's changing, my hormones are changing since I'm 45, perimenopause. I've noticed now that I'm actually really paying attention and increasing my protein, I've noticed a difference. I notice a different my skin, my nails, my energy, just everything. And it's quite fascinating because I thought you shouldn't be overeat protein, but now from my own experience, for me personally, I notice it's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. We'll come to menopause and perimenopause in a bit.
Yeah.
Um, if you're just a person that's not doing any activity at all, that
Mhm.
might be too much protein. So you might want to be aiming more down towards the 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilo of body weight per day,
Okay.
as a rough estimate. But as a menopausal woman, you want to be aiming for more than that.
Yeah.
So the Dr. Stacey Sims, who is an expert on the menopause, her
I like
recommendation
her.
was to have around 2.3 grams per kilo of body weight per day for a perimenopausal woman who exercises. So at the upper end still of somebody who might be a bodybuilder, for example.
Yeah.
So it really does vary.
And would that be also, I'll come back to that when we get back into that bit then. I had a question for the menopausal pit, but I'll wait.
We'll come back to that. So yeah, so hopefully protein, we consume it, we need it in our bodies. We do actually make some amino acids in our bodies as well. I think it's a bit too much to go into the different names of all of the amino acids, but there are some that we produce ourselves in our bodies, and then there are some that we have to consume because we don't produce them ourselves, but we need them. So those are called your essential amino acids. I think there are 9 of them. So we need to eat those because if you can make it yourself, right? You're like, oh, well, why do I need to eat it? But we don't make them all ourselves. So there are some that we really do need to consume. So it's really helpful to have protein in your diet to make sure that you are able to get all of these amino acids in your body so that it can work optimally
Yeah,
and
yeah,
thrive.
and thrive. That makes sense why it's important. Now, for myself, again, I'm just speaking from my own experience with my own health issues, with where I am in life. So this is not what everybody should do. With just a repeats for anybody has this is their first episode listening to us, is I've got a kidney disease and I'm also perimenopause. So for myself, I alter because what works best for my body, I'll alter between a plant-based and a meat-based protein. Now, the one thing I've noticed though, it's easier for me to increase my protein intake with meat, but not always. Now, can you explain a little bit about the differences with that, the types, the plant-based and the meat-based?
Absolutely. So, yeah, when we think about protein, and maybe this is just me, but the first thing that pops into my head is chicken.
I
I
think a
think of
lot of
protein and a logo of a chicken pops into my mind. So, um, most people will think of protein as coming from meat sources, and they would be absolutely correct. All meat sources contain protein, and they contain it in large amounts, and they contain all of the essential amino acids, they contain all of the essential amino acids that we talked about. So eat your chicken, everything's done. Eat your beef, everything's done, etc.
yeah,
So if you are getting your protein from a meat source, you don't have to worry about, am I getting the right mix of amino acids? The protein that you get in meat is also very bioavailable. So what
what do you
that
mean by
means is that when you're digesting the protein, it's breaking it down and it can access the protein within the food really, really easily. So you're consuming it, it gets into your stomach starts to break it down. Protein actually takes longer to break down in the stomach than some of the other macronutrients. So it stays in your stomach longer.
yeah,
So if you are dieting, having a high protein diet can actually be a way of making sure that you're feeling fuller for longer. So it can be quite helpful in that sense. That was a tangent, sorry. But when it's in your tummy being broken down, your body can get to the amino acids that it needs much more easily. It's so what you're consuming is able to be broken down and used by the body really quickly and easily. For plant-based sources, you can get heaps of protein from plant-based sources, but most of them won't have the full amino acid profile. So I think the only plant-based source of protein that has all of the amino acids is tofu.
Oh, that's why you see tofu in a lot of things. Oh, okay, that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
I'm going to start adding a bit more tofu then, knowing that. I didn't realize that. But I've also heard that I've heard contradictions with tofu as well in regards with how it affects your estrogen, especially like does it deplete it or something? I can't remember the exact thing, but that it's not good with estrogen tofu. Do you know anything about that, Michelle?
I've heard stuff like this, but I don't know if there's any
Strong.
real backing with it, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I've heard people are a bit anti-soy. I think men try to avoid soy because they think it's going to give them boobs. I remember one of my friend told me, "Oh, drink soy milk and then you'll get big boobs." So it's like I feel like there are things
Myths
that
out
like
there.
little myths out there surrounding soy and things. And I think there was something about the effect of that on estrogen. So soy isn't tofu, is it? Is tofu soy?
Tofu is
Soybean?
made from soy, yeah.
Okay, there we go. So it's the same. So yeah, I think there's stuff
You guys
out
can
there.
probably tell that Michelle is a meat lover, and there's nothing wrong with that. Each to their own. Because I know there's a few times you've asked me about some things. Oh, I've never had cooked with that before. It's just because you cook with meat all the time. So
What animal does tofu come from?
nothing. You're so funny.
So yeah, I don't know if it has an impact on estrogen. I don't know. But I know that there are some weird, silly things
There's always myths and
around
stuff, I guess.
soy. So
It'd be good
yeah.
that'd be a good one to look into, actually, do a bit of research
Yeah.
on, is about tofu and finding out from that. Because
Yeah.
like I said, everybody's body's different and you got to go with what's going to work for you. And I find that if I've got a good source of meat, natural, not like deli meats or anything that's has preservatives or sausage, like like you get salamis and that's all deli meats. My body just doesn't do well with that. There's lots of high in sodium and just the chemicals they use for that doesn't do very well. I'll do bacon, but I make sure it's like a clean bacon and it's not got a bunch of nitrates and stuff like that. So that's what I find works best for me. But then I like mixing it up with my plant-based. So like what? Yes, I have had some meat today, but otherwise it's all been plant-based, all plant-based wise, except my collagen. The collagen isn't plant-based.
Yeah. I don't think there are any plant-based collagens. I
Collagen.
think they
No,
tried
you
to
get
make it out of seaweed, but I
it's not
don't
the
think
same.
it's not the same.
No,
No.
no, but you can get it you can get a fish-based collagen. So for
If you're not.
vegetarians,
Yeah. Yeah.
that or pescatarians because that's fish.
Pescatarians. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's a lot
So
more
yeah,
expensive.
the fish oil collagen,
The collagen, yeah, powdered collagen, fish powder.
I think it's algae, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, it's
Mm.
it's more expensive as well. So I tend to go the other way, try to save
Yeah.
a few
If you
bucks.
can, just have the
Yeah.
other. So yeah, with plant-based protein, heaps of plant-based foods have protein in them. So you
Hmm.
can totally get your protein needs without eating meat. It's easier if you can eat meat. If you, obviously, there are lots of reasons why people don't eat meat, including ethical reasons. So it's not like you have to get your protein. You can get it from other sources. But you have to be aware that with plant-based sources, they, aside from tofu, as we just said, they don't contain all of the amino acids. So you can't just rely on lentils as an example for your protein source, because they will be missing some of the amino acids that you need to be consuming. So you have to just be a bit more savvy when it comes to trying to get all of your protein from plant-based sources, because you will need to have a much more diverse range of protein containing foods. So you've got lentils, you've got rice, you've got beans, you've got vegetables. Combining different things together can help you to reach that full amino acid profile. But like I said, you just have to put a bit more effort into figuring out. And naturally, over time, culturally, a lot of things have kind of mixed naturally. So for example, rice and peas is a really popular combination in Caribbean food. And rice and peas together, those two will provide you with all of the essential amino acids.
Really, rice and peas, like green
Rice
peas.
and peas.
Okay.
Yeah. And there
wow.
are other combinations that I can't think of off the top of my head, but just really classic combinations that you see in different regions of the world.
Would it be more brown rice than white rice? Because isn't protein higher in brown rice, or am I wrong on that? Is that a myth?
I'm not sure about that. I think with brown rice, basically what they're removing is the wheat germ from the outside.
I thought it's the other way around with the white rice. Or is rice naturally white? I have no idea.
Another one we need to do some research on.
Yeah. This is what I
Rice.
love. That's the thing, is whenever you talk to anyone, you always learn something of like, what else can we learn about? It's not like one person knows everything. There'll be things that we won't know. And this is what I like, is we're being honest. Hey, I don't know about that, but it's something to look into.
Rice blows my mind because I've
Why?
been to Asia a lot and have seen lots of rice paddy fields. And if you think about how much rice is consumed in the world every day, it just blows my mind. Like, where does it all come from? Like,
Have you been to Thailand? Have you been to Bali?
yeah, I have, and I've seen like these rice paddy fields, and it's like you have to get so much to feed the world.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah, blows my mind. I love rice.
good old rice. I like rice too.
Just while we're on plant-based protein,
Yep.
I talked about with the meat, it is super bioavailable. So once it's in your body and in your digestive system, the enzymes that need it can just grab it and take it off to wherever it needs to be in the body. With your plant-based sources, it is less bioavailable. So it's actually harder for the digestive system to find the protein to then extract it and use it. Mainly because plant-based foods tend to be starchier. They tend to be harder to digest and break down, which is another reason why this kind of food can be super helpful if you are trying to lose weight, because it takes longer to digest. So again, it's sitting around in your digestive system for longer, keeping you feeling fuller. This is why we talk about fiber and all of those good things.
The one
It just makes it harder to get the protein out.
So I'll give you a bit of a tip on that. So because it's also like anything with like legumes, especially if you're not getting them canned. Let's say they are dry, your rice, everything like that. Because you can now buy like packaged rice that's already cooked and stuff. I don't
Yeah,
like
put
that.
it in the microwave, 2
Ooh.
minutes.
I'm just thinking that's a higher processed food. Anyways, that's about
Yeah.
another podcast we spoke about. But if you soak it, so by soaking it activates it. When you activate it, you're starting to create that germification, and that is when you get the best nutrients. When you start seeing the little buds coming through, you don't want to soak it that long, but by soaking it actually is easier to digest because it cooks quicker as well.
Yeah, because I guess it's starting that breakdown process that would happen otherwise in the body.
It's the same thing
Excellent.
with doing that with nuts, activating nuts. So you each nut, because the softer the nut, the less that you need to soak it for. But the harder the nut, the longer. So like an almond, a Brazil nut needs to soak longer, and then you put it in a dehydrator and dehydrate it, and it tastes different. It tastes crunchier. It's just amazing, and it's easier for your body to digest. And it's the same thing
Nice.
with like flaxseed. You should never eat it whole. You should ground it up or soak it. That's the same thing. So that would make sense with those types of protein, plant-based proteins, to soak them if you can. So I try to soak my rice, try to soak any beans, any lentils I use, any legumes, and try to get them dried. Sometimes I do have canned stuff in the cupboard. So it's if I need something quick and easy, then it's quick and easy. So yeah, a little food for thought
Yeah.
on that.
No,
Activation.
it's good to know. If you can't do any of those things, if you don't have the time or if you forget, if you just try to eat more, eat probably about 20% more than you would your meat source, then that should cover you anyway, just to take into account how less bioavailable it is.
And do it with
But
that.
actually, that would lead me nicely on to the next thing that I want to talk about, just in relation to protein. And I guess the kind of fitness link to it is something that happens in our body called muscle protein synthesis.
The word I was struggling with.
Muscle protein Sensodyne toothpaste.
Sensodyne toothpaste. That's so true. Such a toothpaste name, word.
Every time you brush your teeth now with Sensodyne, you'll be like, oh, muscle protein.
Sensipus.
Okay.
Hey, Michelle, I remember how to say that word. Sensipus.
Because I think, and again, this might just be my little vacuum that I live in, but I feel like there is kind of this perception of protein that it's only for bodybuilders, and it's, you have to have your protein shakes all day, every day, protein for life. But that isn't how it works. Because of a process called muscle protein synthesis. So basically, when we are consuming protein, whether it's meat-based or plant-based, however it comes in, your body does many different things with it. As we know, it does everything with it. So you've always got protein kind of circulating in your blood, ready to be used for whatever it needs to be used for. With your muscles, if you are trying to either grow your muscle or maintain your muscle, remember in a previous podcast, we've talked about being in an anabolic state or a catabolic state. So when we're in an anabolic state, we are in relation to our metabolism. You look really blank.
No, no,
no.
no. I was just hearing a lot of background noise on my end, so I
Yeah.
was just adjusting some things. That's all.
Nadia's still in a construction site.
Hence why I'm all blurred. I'm going to be like this for probably about another 3 or 4 weeks. So,
so yeah, if we are in a catabolic state, so if we are trying to break down our body, trying to lose fat, we want to be maintaining the muscle mass that we have. So protein is really important in that sense as well. So if we are trying to maintain our muscle, or if we are trying to grow it, we need to be interested in an amino acid called leucine.
Yeah.
So remember I said there are lots of names for the amino acids, which I won't go into, but one to know about is leucine. So when leucine is present in the body, it signals to your muscles to go through a process called muscle protein synthesis. And this is where your protein starts to work to repair and or build the muscle. You with me?
Yeah. No, 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 no. I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm just listening. I'm just being
Yeah,
very attentive.
yeah, because this is where it gets a little bit, it's not that confusing. I'm going to
No,
try and
it's not
explain
at
it in
all.
a really basic way, but there are big scientific processes that are happening behind the scenes, but I'll just kind of describe it in what you need to know, essentially. So, if we are consuming protein and one of the amino acids within that protein that we're consuming is leucine,
Mhm.
or if we have done some form of resistance training and we've caused damage to the muscle tissues, we're going to start off a process called muscle protein synthesis. So this
Mhm.
is where your body starts to repair, maintain, or grow. This process cannot just happen non-stop all day. So if you think like, oh, cool, protein stimulates muscle growth, I'm just going to drink protein all day. That isn't how it works. You basically can stimulate this process by consuming an amount, and then your body starts to go through the process. But it works on a refractory period. So once
Okay.
the process has started, bing, 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 off we go. You cannot stimulate it anymore. It's already happening. That process then needs to refract back down, and then we're back down to baseline. At this stage, if there is the protein present, or if some resistance training or something has happened, it can go again, and then it'll start the process again, ding, 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 and then it comes back down, and then we go again. So what you might have been recommended is to space out your protein consumption throughout the day.
How often
Because
do you do that, Michelle? Because I know that you do that. I hear quite a few of you talk about, oh, I've had my protein, I'll wait, so on and so on. Can you explain a little bit more, like why? And like you're telling me why, but how? Like, no, let me try that again. The length. Why do what is there a generic length? Is there a generic, or is there just like a base timeline for anybody and everyone is the same? Or is it
yeah.
different? Like is there different time frames for maybe different outcomes and different needs and wants? Hope that
Hmm.
makes sense.
It totally makes sense. No, there isn't a definite thing. Again, like with nutrition, it's individual. But what they tend to say in the research is that it can be anywhere between 2 hours and 4 hours.
Okay.
So the advice that I give and that I follow myself, I will usually wait around about 3 hours in between my protein feedings.
Okay.
And to be honest, in a real life scenario, if you're somebody that eats breakfast, lunch, you might have a snack, and then you might have dinner, generally those meals will be spaced about 3 to 4 hours apart in general.
Yeah.
So, it's you just make sure that you consume protein in all of your main meals,
Mm-hmm.
and you're giving yourself the opportunity to keep going through that muscle building repair process at various points throughout the day.
Yeah.
In terms of how much, and this is what got me onto it from the eating more plant-based, again, research tends to show that having a minimum of 20 grams of protein, not 20 grams of food, but 20 grams of protein should get that started. But for plant-based sources, that would need to be about 25 grams.
Okay.
And it's not a case of more is better, because they tend to find that 40 grams, pretty much the difference between 40 grams and more than 40 grams was just completely negligible and not really worth it. So
Yeah.
having at least 40 grams, you're definitely going to get that process started. Every 3 to 4 hours, you're giving yourself your body's best chance at continuing that muscle growth and
Mm-hmm.
repair throughout the day.
So for my lunch today, before we jumped on and doing this podcast, I had a plant-based meal, and there's a few things I've been playing around with to help amp up the protein amount. And I added it a little bit too much. I think it was more like 40, between 40 and 50 grams of protein it was. But I'm just learning. So would that be a waste because I've done such a high amount? Like I think it was closer to 50 grams. Is that such a big waste, or what?
No,
That would be fine if it was
no.
plant-based, isn't it?
Fine because it's plant-based,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't need to cap your protein. So for example, if you're going to have a chicken breast, that's probably about, depending on the size of it, you're probably looking at about 60 to 70 grams of protein in
Mm-hmm.
that. You're not going to cut your chicken breast in half just so you can go, oh, this is all the protein I need. What I'm talking about is how much you need to stimulate the process of
Okay.
muscle protein synthesis.
Okay.
Protein is never wasted in the body. What isn't being used to stimulate that process and be used towards the muscle growth, anything else is going to be left in the body, floating around in what's called an amino acid pool, and it's there ready to be used for whatever it needs to be used. Because remember, it's used for everything,
Our
not just
hormones,
for muscle
everything.
growth.
Yeah.
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 So the
Yeah.
amount of protein that you had for your lunch, brilliant. You have probably stimulated a cycle of muscle protein synthesis, which is going to be great for you to recover from your workout that you were doing earlier and
Mm-hmm.
to help maintain your muscle mass. So that's brilliant.
So I've got a question with that as well. Now, how soon after a workout should you have protein to help with that as well?
Excellent question. And this is something where the science and the literature has changed a little bit because it used to be believed that there is something called an anabolic window.
Yeah.
So it used to be believed that you had to have your protein instantly. So you'd
Yeah.
have people getting out of the gym, cracking open the protein shake straight away before they've even jumped in the shower because they want to get that protein in, make sure that it starts the process straight away. But what's been found is that the anabolic window, is longer than previously thought. So it also depends on kind of when you're training. So I know for you, you train in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you train fasted or have you eaten something beforehand?
No, fasted. I'll have had my green tea. So in the green tea will be organic green tea with fresh squeezed lemon and some monk fruit and ginger. And it had been seeping for quite some time. So it's not like it's really, really hot. It's actually cold. I brew a big batch, put it in the fridge, and then I just pour some out. And that's,
Yeah.
yeah. So otherwise, I haven't had anything solid, no, but I've had something in my system in that kind of way. But solid food will be after my workout. And
Yeah.
I've changed it up that I tend to now work out and then I'll do a bit of breathing just to help calm my nervous system, and then I'll have something to eat.
Yeah.
This morning I did it a little opposite. I just wanted to get in the shower. I wanted to beat Richard, so get in the shower, into the staff shower, not sharing a shower with him, but just beat him before because we were both finishing at the same time. And I was like, okay, I want to get in there, have
Yeah.
a quick shower, and then I can sit and relax and have my smoothie. And then off I went for some clients. I think I had
Yeah.
back to back.
Yeah. So hopefully you had a decent amount of protein in your smoothie.
I'll let you know what I had
That would
actually.
be a great opportunity. So yeah, the window of opportunity, the
26.8.
lovely. That's nice. So that is a nice amount. As I said, it's at least 20, stimulating that muscle protein synthesis. So I think the time between a workout and when you have your protein depends on if you have eaten in advance of your workout. If you haven't, you want to have your protein within an hour, I would say, of your workout. Dr. Stacey Sims, she says that you want to be having it within half an hour, but I don't really know where that comes from. So I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, because I've heard 20
if you haven't had
minutes.
anything beforehand, if you haven't had anything beforehand, do your workout and then make sure that once you're sorted, once you've had your shower and you're breathing, have your food
Yeah.
then.
I normally have it before I have a shower, but
Mm.
just thinking about what time I finished that at, and by the time I had that was probably within 20, 25 minutes, 20 minutes,
Yeah,
20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes.
perfect. Perfect. If you have eaten before a workout, I mean, nobody wants to eat a big chicken salad and then go and do their workout straight away. So usually if you've eaten before a workout, you've given it a good half hour to an hour before you do your workout. Let's say a workout takes about an hour. That's now 2 hours from when you last ate. So again, probably you're looking at about an hour to 2 hours after that workout. So it's going to tie in nicely with that 3 to 4 hour gap.
Yeah.
Your workout's in the middle. You're eating protein again to start that repair process straight away afterwards. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like super strict, but depends on different factors.
Okay. No, I like it. I like it. I like it. Um, yeah. Okay. No, I just for my own sake, just because I'm learning lots this year, more about food for myself. Not saying I don't know anything about food, but just
Mhm.
more details, I guess, would be better details,
Yeah.
and what's suited for me, especially with hitting an amazing stage in my life. Perimenopause. We've got to
Mhm.
celebrate that. A lot of people complain, but I like what Stacey Sims says um, in her book as well about it, is just how the big change and the big ordeal, but we should celebrate it. So I'm celebrating it because I think the best and the strongest in my life right now. So yeah. Now,
Perfect.
on that note, why people over 40 my age should be it's so important to have a good source amount of protein.
Yeah. So when you do start to enter your perimenopausal years, obviously your hormone profile changes and
Mm,
your estrogen declines
yeah, massively.
quickly,
Mm,
quickly as you head on to the menopause, and then obviously beyond that, it's pretty low. So estrogen is responsible for so many processes
mm,
within the body that we're just not really aware of until you don't have the estrogen there
yeah.
anymore. So one of those processes is to do with your muscle cells, and also how your cells work and respond to stimuli, things like glucose, things like exercise. So estrogen really helps your cells bring glucose into them. Um, and when that isn't working, this is when you can start to see body composition changes. You can start to see more fat around your tummy.
Would
You might
cellulite
start
be
to
affected by
see,
that as well?
I don't think so. I think cellulite is something about how your fat sits under your skin.
Okay. Okay. Because I've
I
just
don't
noticed
know.
some people want hitting that perimenopause menopause state. I notice it seems like more cellulite comes about, but that's just an observation. Please
Yeah,
don't quote me on that because that's why I'm just having a discussion with Michelle about that if she
yeah.
knew anything. So
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised because it also has a link to collagen and the elasticity of your skin. So
and that
I
lo-
wouldn't be
and that goes
surprised.
too with estrogen as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is
So
why collagen is so important at our age as well. Mm.
definitely. Yeah. So the way the body works changes. So you kind of almost have to change your lifestyle a bit to
Mhm.
help your body act in the same way but using different stimuli, if
Yeah.
that makes
That
sense.
makes
So
total sense to me.
yeah, so where you would rely on your estrogen to clear your bloodstream of glucose, that's not going to work as efficiently anymore. So a thing that you can do to help that is start resistance training or plyometric training, doing exercise. So those types of things you can do to help something that used to just happen without needing any help. Um, Protein, eating more protein is similar along that thread, because with the loss of estrogen, you can start to lose your muscle mass, your bone mineral density is affected. So as we've already discussed, protein can kind of mitigate that muscle loss, having the protein there, constantly turning it over through that process of muscle protein synthesis. We're going to slow down that decline in muscle mass as the hormone profile changes. So in terms of those recommendations, they tend to be higher because we need more of it.
Well, it makes sense, because if we're losing a hormone and creating that resistance training and increasing that resistance training, well, how do we support the muscles with the resistance training? It would be the protein. And since the protein also helps with hormones, that just makes sense. To me, it does.
It just becomes even more important. And like you said with collagen as well, collagen is protein, collagen is amino acids. So we start to lose the elasticity in our skin, and that's why we think of collagen. Collagen is something that's marketed to us as a beauty product, but it's protein. It's protein that is supposed to help maintain the elasticity and firmness of our skin as our body breaks down naturally with age. And if you think about everything we've talked about, that how protein is used for all of the cells and all of that replenishment, if we're not consuming more protein, then we don't have any protein to stay on top of that repair. And that's not to say we can stay young forever by eating a load of protein, but it certainly can slow down the impacts, I guess, or the effects.
And it keeps you fuller as well, right? Longer.
Keeps you fuller. Like I said, it's great for your health. I just love protein.
I know that's one thing that you out of the macros, that's the one thing that you make sure you have your accurate amount each day. That's it. That's the word I think.
I don't even track my protein anymore, because I've just now got to a point in my life where it is in every meal. And I've been doing this for a while now. And I guess for me, I forget that it really isn't part of our society's way of eating to eat this much protein, to eat as much protein as I do. I have it in all of my main meals, and I have a whole snack that is based around protein. So one of my favorite high protein snacks, I have 160 grams of cottage cheese, which gives me like 22. Love it. So that gives me like 22 grams of protein. I have it on some crunchy Cruskits. I'll add pineapple or gherkins, cucumber, and it's such a filling snack, and there's so much food, and it makes you feel full. It makes you feel like you're eating a lot. It's stimulated a cycle of muscle protein synthesis. But for other people, they're like, what? I'm going to have an apple for a snack. And I'm not saying apple is bad, but it's not high in protein. So it just kind of shows how my mindset has shifted now to everything is protein based. So my breakfasts, I find it hard to eat a lot of protein in food, because I eat my breakfast so early because I start my day. So I supplement my protein in my breakfast. So I add protein powders to my oats or my yogurt to make sure I'm still getting a decent hit of protein at the beginning of the day. Even at a time when it's harder for me to eat. I couldn't eat 160 grams of cottage cheese at 5:30 in the morning. But I can easily get my protein allowance by mixing in just one scoop of protein powder to my yogurts and my oats and my chia seeds and my linseeds, all of the other things that are high protein as well.
Because that's because I found a recipe that just, oh my God, like, I think you've heard me this week going with my overnight oats, and I also add protein on top of it in it as well. Because what is it? Let me just say, because this is a recipe that I created.
Oats are high protein. These are plant-based sources, obviously. Oats are high protein. Chia is high protein. Linseeds are high protein. If you're mixing it with dairy, milk, that's high protein.
Yeah,
I
I've
mix
got
mine with yogurt, not milk.
this one is 36.3 grams for my overnight oats.
Boom. There we go. That's a
I love it.
decent,
It is
hefty amount.
so good. It's so good. And I've got some good stuff in it actually. I'm gonna tell you the recipe. So it's a gluten-free oat because I am gluten-free. And it's funny because oats is gluten-free, but it's usually grown around wheat, rye, barley, which then is contaminating it, which I had no idea. And then I
Mm.
use a French vanilla plant-based protein. I always add collagen, and then I've got cinnamon maca, which is I get this one that's for females. That's really good for us to help support our hormones. Blueberries, and then water. It
Yum.
is so good, man. I'm just like, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I
Get
think
on
this
the
is good.
overnight oats train. Yeah. I'm a big fan.
So
But it's
I'm,
incredible the number of people that will just have jam on toast for breakfast.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's
I know a lot of people Marmite on toast.
Marmite on toast. I love Marmite on toast.
Yeah, but is
And I
that
still
enough?
have Marmite on toast, but it's not enough protein. No way.
No,
I don't have
no.
it for my breakfast. I have it as a snack.
I was gonna say that'd be a
Um,
snack. That'd be a snack.
yeah.
Same like I love good like gluten-free bread with peanut butter, but I wouldn't have that as a meal. I'd have that as a snack.
Mm,
Sometimes it's like I'm not hungry, but I know I should have something, so I'll have that.
yeah.
Like if I've just had a really big breakfast, a really big lunch, and I just don't feel like having a full-on dinner, I'll have
Mm,
something like that.
yeah.
But I think I might try. I had seen one where it's peanut butter, banana, hemp seed, and that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a whirl.
I love
Mm.
peanut butter and banana.
Yeah, and then toast and a bit of hemp seed because hemp seed would also have a
Mm,
good um,
bit of protein in
protein
there.
as well. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I think when you go out for meals, like there are usually pretty decent high protein lunch options if I think about some of the places I go for
Mm.
meals. Um, but I think it's also really common to have things like dumplings for your lunch, which won't have a lot of protein in them.
Mhm.
Um, I've got friends who will make salads for lunch, but the salad will have like pumpkin as the main thing.
And
And I'm
where's your
like, well,
protein in there?
where's your protein?
What
Where's your
about
protein?
what
It's like I
about
have
some
one
chickpeas or something
egg, and
like
it's
that?
like, no, that one egg is about 5 grams of protein.
It's not
You
much.
need
No.
5 eggs. You're not going to have 5 eggs. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, for me, when I incorporated protein into my meal structure, that
Mm.
was when I was able to really make progress with my weight loss and the maintenance of that weight loss. Because
Mm-hmm.
I used to eat soups for my lunch, and I love soup. Soup's great. Soup's full of nutrients. It's great, low
Mm-hmm.
calorie, but no protein
Unless you
depending
put meat in
on
it.
what you've made, unless you put meat in it. But not like a pumpkin soup. That's where I used to live on. I used to go to the supermarket and buy the sachets, those
Yeah.
cold sachets, and I'd have one of those. Um, when I shifted around and said, "Oh, I'm going to have tuna salads," changed everything. I eat a whole can of tuna, like the
Yeah.
bigger can,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
180-gram can. Have that salad or mixed veggies, game changer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's something that people are resistant to. Protein is more expensive. Like when you buy protein, it is more expensive. It's more expensive
Yeah.
to buy a can of tuna than it is to buy Marmite on toast. I don't
Yeah.
know how to quantify that, but
You just have to
it,
find that balance, right? And that's why I bounce between the two. I make sure I buy myself a good source of protein as well. But and then from there I balance it out with some plant-based. And I found
yeah,
what I find, do you know why I was able to get such a high protein for lunch today? My salad, there's no meat in there. It was a mixed salad, some sauerkraut, a homemade dressing that I did, which it was had no oils in it, but I'll tell you about that another time. And then what did I have? I had two. I should have only had one when looking at how much calories that end up being. I should only had one of these gourmet patties. They're plant-based patty, and I just throw it in the oven. It's just a quick and easy thing that I'll do. Like I'll make a few of those, have them in the fridge, so it's just nice and easy to add, just top up. And then what is my go-to is that I take like it'll be like mung bean or chickpea or black soybean, and it's a pasta, and it's low in carb, but it's high in fiber and high in protein. And that's what just ranks it right up. Because if you think about everything that that I've said right there, salad doesn't have any protein, the dressing doesn't have any protein, the sauerkraut doesn't. It'll have a little bit of something, but not enough to hit that. And it was between the patty and the pasta, and I find that, and that's totally filling. That was like, oh, so good.
Yeah. Because, and actually, that's a good money saving tip. It doesn't have, if you are using meat-based sauces and find that it's quite expensive, you don't have to have a full chicken breast. You might say, I'll put about 100 grams of chicken, I'll cut it up, put 100 grams in, and I'll also add lentils to this unidentified dish, whatever, or chickpeas or whatever. It can be a good way of bringing up the protein content, bulking out your meal, but making it a lot more cost effective as well. Because you can combine meat and plant-based sauces. You don't just have to combine the plant-based sauces. You can combine meat and plant-based sauces, bulk it out, make it cheaper, but still get your protein in as well.
Yeah, and why I did that meal is because I know that I am going to have a pizza tonight, and it's a homemade one. It's ones that I make on a gluten-free seeded base, and I pre-make them and I cut them in half, and half of it's like already made, the fixings, everything on it. I put it in my vacuum seal bag. It's in the freezer. I just pull it out, put it on a pan, and it's my Friday special go-to. And I know what I'm doing, and I know there's protein in there. Probably not as much as I should have, but it's my treat Friday, and it's something. Actually, I could tell you how much it is. I record everything. Yeah, Michelle's been doing it for a while, for a very long time. But then for myself, I'm learning lots. But then at the same time, I find this works for me. Oh, it's 24 grams of protein,
and that is enough to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So that's fabulous. So it doesn't have to be. You didn't think there would be enough in it, but there is. It doesn't have to be meat, protein powders. It isn't necessary as much as you think it needs to be.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't have any idea about the 20 grams. Now that's something I'm certainly going to be paying attention to that. I think that's a good cover what we did today about protein. That's been a lot of information, some stuff I knew, but a lot of stuff I've learned. So thank you for sharing that, Michelle. That's awesome. Now, one more thing I need to get from you guys, like, follow, comment, give us feedback. We're always open for that and wanting that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And we will see you guys next time on the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
If you have enjoyed listening to our podcast today
and want to hear more, please subscribe using the button below.